Welcome again to a nice sunny March afternoon here. Nice that the sun is shining today. Right now we're going to do some books about something called gratitude, which is another way of saying being thankful for something. We have found that people who are thankful for things are happier people, and so are the people you thank for something. So this is like really good for you and really good for them. I love to smile at thank yous because they're important and special and fun, but I'm going to start out with something that's not very happy and smiley, but it needs to be told. It's a story that needs to be told that has some sadness in it. But sometimes real life can be sad sometimes, and in this sad story, somebody is still very thankful for something, even though life has not been very easy for them. So it's a good lesson for all of us to be thankful and look for things to be thankful for. I'm going to start out with this then and read you a short story, and it's called Gifts from the Enemy. And there is a picture of the young man that this story is about. So, if you don't see me smile much, you'll find out pretty soon why not. Page 1. Here's what he looked like several years ago. That young man is now older, and he is saying, "There are those that say what I've lived through never happened, but I'm here to tell you that it did. My name is Alter Weiner, and I'm an ordinary person with an extraordinary past." Let's find out what's extraordinary about the past life of Alter Weiner. "Many years ago, I was young like you. I lived with my family in Czernau, a small town in the southwest corner of Poland. I don't know if you've ever heard of Poland. It's a country in Europe across the Atlantic Ocean, next to Germany, if you've heard of that. Back then, our home had no indoor plumbing, so we didn't have a bathtub in the house or a sink in the house. We had no refrigerators, no cell phones, TVs, or computers. We didn't even own a car. We mostly walked to get where we needed to go. It was a much simpler way of life. Still, our home was full of books, food, laughter, and love. Every Friday, Papa invited a poor student or a homeless person to share our Sabbath dinner with us. At sunset, we welcomed the Sabbath with the blessing and the lighting of the candles, followed by the blessing of Mama's freshly baked challah. I couldn't wait to get a slice of the bread, all soft and warm in my hands. Biting into it was pure heaven. Mama was a wonderful cook. She spent hours in the kitchen preparing mouth-watering meals for Papa, my brother Shumel, Hirsch, and me. Mama also had a caring heart. There are two ways to deal with the cold, she'd often say. Put on a fur coat to be warm, or light a fire so that others can be warm too. Mama made sure we provided food and shelter to those less fortunate than us, both in times of peace and later during the war. That they're inviting some poor older man into the house to share food with them. On September 1st, 1939, a long time ago, German Nazi soldiers, under the orders of their leaders Adolf Hitler, attacked my country. Poland's army wasn't strong enough to defend our borders and people. Thousands of us tried to flee, including my own family, but we had nowhere to go. Hitler's army had us surrounded. Papa, a thoughtful, peaceful man, taught my brothers and me to reject hatred. Hitler taught his people to embrace it. In other words, his dad taught to don't like hatred, and Hitler taught people to love hatred. Their hatred started with words, hurtful words, first whispered, and then shouted at neighbors and strangers alike. Those words took root in the hearts and minds of many and grew into something worse. When Hitler came into power, he ordered his army to seek out, imprison, and destroy millions of people, old and young. People who looked, thought, and acted differently than his people. Hitler hated differences. And there's how the Nazi soldiers dressed, and maybe you've heard of World War II, and that would again be something for you to look up sometime and read more about. There are still people alive in the United States that were in World War II. They would be old men or old women now, but they're still there. Maybe you could have one into your school sometime. The German army's occupation was hard on everyone in our town, but it was hardest on the Jewish people because we were on the top of Hitler's hate list. Our freedom and rights were taken away. We couldn't go to school. We couldn't pray in our houses of worship. We couldn't even visit our favorite parks or playgrounds. Curfews forced us to be prisoners in our own homes. Many good and decent people lost their lives to this hatred, including my own friends and family. I was 13 years old when the German soldiers marched into town and killed poor Papa. I was 14 in the middle of the night when they forced their way into our home and took my older brother Schumel away. I was 15 when the Nazis came for me. I didn't even have the chance to hug Mama and little Hirsch goodbye. It was the last time I would ever see them again. I and many others were herded like cattle into trains headed to destinations far, far away from the kindness, compassion, respect, and dignity. They were put into train cars and taken away. I was shipped from one prison labor camp to another, living in very crowded, dirty conditions. Day after day, I was forced to work long hours. The guards showed no mercy in their cruel treatment of the prisoners, and there was never enough food to eat. I was always hungry, so very hungry. I kept thinking about Mama and her wonderful challah. I would have done anything just to have one small taste of home-baked bread. Months went by, and then years, and lack of food and so much suffering kept my belly empty and my heart heavy. Just when I no longer had the strength or will to make it through another day, something amazing happened. I received a gift from a stranger. Not just any stranger, but a stranger I thought was my enemy. It happened when I was working in a German factory. Posted on the factory's walls were signs addressed to all German employees. Do not look at the prisoners. Do not talk to the prisoners. Do not give anything to the prisoners. If you do, you will be doomed. One day, a German worker made eye contact with me. When she saw she had my attention, she pointed her finger at a box on the floor. Curious, I went to that spot when no one was looking, and I peeked under the box. What do you think's under the box? You know, if she is going to help him, she could get in a lot of trouble for this. What did I find? The most wonderful gift I could ask for. A bread and cheese sandwich. I couldn't believe my eyes. I grabbed the sandwich and gobbled it up before anyone noticed. Even more surprising, this worker left me a bread and cheese sandwich under the very same box every day for the 30 days that I worked in that building. Even though he's had a terrible life for the last few years, he looks sort of thankful, doesn't he? I wonder, do you know what he maybe is thinking about? I'll bet you're right. Let's see. Why, I ask myself, would this stranger be willing to risk her life, not once, but 30 times for me? Why me? Did she have a son my age and felt sorry for me? Was she a religious person who believed it was her duty to help the helpless? To this day, I don't know her reason for feeding me. What I do know is that she gave me the energy and hope to survive. Her acts of kindness also made me stop and think, how can I believe all Germans are my enemy when this woman, a German, had risked her life for me? And here comes something really important. He's saying, that's when I learned my most important lesson in life. There are the kind and the cruel in every group of people. How those you meet in life treat you is far more important than who they are. Do you know anybody in school or where you live or in your house that treats you really kind and nice? Are you thankful for it? And have you ever told them you are? In May of 1945, the Russian army arrived at our camp telling us that the war was over, Germany was defeated, and we were free at last. I tried to track down the identity of my brave German hero, but I couldn't find her. Still, not a day goes by when I don't think of this wonderful woman and thank her for her courage and kindness. See, the horrible life he had, having lost his parents and everything that went on, he is still every day thinking of how kind this woman was. It has been many years since the war. There he is now as an old man. I am very much older now, but my memories of the past are still strong. Every Friday at sunset, I welcome the Sabbath with the lighting and blessing of candles, followed by the blessing of challah. Now when I bite into the bread, I don't just taste heaven. I taste freedom. So, did you like the story? It's kind of sad, but it had a happy ending, didn't it? He lived on, and is very thankful. This man, by the way, instead of just getting a job and having a family or something, which he did those things, he also spent much of his time when he got out of that prison. He spent a lot of his time, most of his time, as a matter of fact, speaking to people about World War II and what happened to him and so many other people. He gave back. He didn't get paid for it. He just did it because he thought people should hear that story. And I think he's most proud of the woman who left him the cheese sandwiches, and he's still thankful for it. What are you most thankful for? I'd be thankful for a cheese sandwich, but I bet you're thankful for something more important than that, aren't you? Sometime when we get a chance to talk, I want you to tell me what you're thankful for, and maybe what people who know you might be thankful about you for. Thank you for listening.